Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, students. I hope you are doing well. I hope you have completed the quiz as well. I would share the answer key with you today. If I am not able to share it and if I forget about it, kindly do me a favor and remind me at the end of the lesson so that I may be able to share the answer keys. But before that, you have to submit the assignments. Now, before starting this lecture, uh, I want you to understand this, that language is related to humanity, or it's a particular human trait जो कि सिर्फ ख़ास इंसानों को दिया गया है, ख़ास इंसानों को अता किया गया है। जानवरों में लैंग्वेज या ज़ुबान बोलने की कोई वो नहीं, ख़ासियत नहीं, दो उनका एक साउंड सिस्टम ज़रूर है, हर एक जानवर दूसरे से यूनिक है उस लिहाज से, लेकिन जो ख़ासियत इंसान की है वो जानवरों की नहीं, इसलिए इंसान को अशरफुल मखलूक़ात बनाया गया। एंड द रीज़न बीइंग इज़ द ह्यूमन माइंड विच इज़ वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, अ कम्प्लेक्स नेटवर्क ऑफ न्यूरॉन्स एंड द न्यूरल वेन्स जो कि कोऑर्डिनेट करता है बॉडी की तमाम मूवमेंट्स को, और लैंग्वेज भी उसी से एसोसिएटेड है। सो जिस तरह ह्यूमैनिटी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, यानी ह्यूमैनिटी को मतलब समझना, और ह्यूमन बीइंग एक इंसान को सिर्फ समझना जिसके ऊपर इतनी रिसर्च हो रही है, जितनी स्टडी हो रही है कि वो इतना मुश्किल है, इसी तरह लैंग्वेज भी चूँकि ह्यूमैनिटी से ही रिलेटेड है, सो इट्स वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड इस तरह कि जैसे इंसान का इर्तिका हो रहा है, एवोल्यूशन हो रहा है, वो डेवलप हो रहा है, वो प्रोग्रेस कर रहा है, दिन ब दिन नई चीज़ें वो इन्वेंट कर रहा है, इसी तरह लैंग्वेज में भी डे बाय डे चेंजेस आती हैं। टुडेज़ लेसन इज़ जस्ट लाइक दैट। यूजुअली जब आप लोग प्रोनाउंस पढ़ते थे और उसकी टाइप्स पढ़ते थे तो आप एक ख़ास लिमिट तक रहते थे। अब एट दिस लेवल, दैट इज़ FSC, the limits should exceed. Now you should go further. Now you should advance as well. So आज का जो लेक्चर है वो प्रोनाउन से तो रिलेटेड है, लेकिन पर्टिकुलर जो इसके ऊपर एम्फेसिस है वो है पर्सनल प्रोनाउंस के ऊपर। सो विदाउट फर्दर अडू, मैं भी आपको SLOs, द स्टूडेंट लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ दिस लेसन आर जस्ट mentioned in front of you. And it's very simple. We have to gain knowledge regarding pronouns and its types. We have to understand the usage of pronoun with respect to other parts of speech. So जो पहला सवाल जहन में आता है, the first question that arises in our minds is why study pronoun? And अगर हम if we study the definition of pronoun, it's very simple. It says a word which replaces a noun, which is replacement of a noun or a noun phrase. But the problem is why we study it then? This question comes to the mind. If it is so simple that something that replaces a noun, then why we should study it? Oh, why such a fuss? So the answer is, I would like to give you a very quick answer. Pronoun replace nouns. If we didn't have pronouns, we would have to keep repeating our nouns, and that would make our sentence cumbersome and repetitive. Pronouns are usually short words. When most people think of pronouns, words like he, she, and they spring to mind. But there are several different types of pronouns as shown in the infographic that is the next slide. So it's not a simple concept as it is shown in the definition that it replaces a noun. No, there are 9 different types, and just like languages, just like humanity, language is also complicated. So it's not that a simple concept. Yes, we try to simplify it, We try to make it easy for you. We try to define something. We try to make rules for it. But it's not a simple concept. So the 9 types are there that would be explained further on. It's just an infographic for your information. You can take a snapshot from here and save it in your computers or mobiles or any device that you are using. So do remember, pronouns are primarily used to avoid repetition. Pronouns make a sentence less cumbersome and less repetitive. For example, Maria loves Saturday. It is the day she gets her pocket money. Now look at the example. Maria loves Saturday. It is the day she gets her pocket money. The pronoun it replaces Saturday and the pronoun she replaces Maria. Pronouns are used for brevity. Brevity means briefness, मुख्तसरपन. Imagine how wearisome, यानी कितना थका देने वाला process होगा if we use names instead of pronouns. Like, consider the same example. Maria loves Saturday. Saturday is the day Maria gets her pocket money. So if we have to repeat the names, and we have to repeat the names again and again while writing something, it will be a tiresome process. So pronouns bring brevity, briefness. It's a shortcut in order to make a qualitative academic work. So pronouns are divided into 9 types: personal pronouns, possessive pronouns, relative pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, emphatic pronouns, reflexive pronouns, indefinite pronouns, interrogative pronouns, and reciprocal pronouns. I have given a few examples in front of each of these pronouns. Kindly note it down if you want to note it down. And when we discuss these types in detail, we will shed light on further examples as well. Now the first type is personal pronouns. It's very important. Personal pronoun is an important pronoun that we usually utilize while doing grammatical exercises of direct and indirect speech and active and passive voice. Now that is the grammar practice, but in reality these pronouns are, in real world, these pronouns are also very important. Personal pronouns. A personal pronoun takes the place of people or things. The personal pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we and they. Example, man is what he believes. This is a quote by Russian playwright Anton Chekhov. Look at the example again. Man is what he believes. Now this word he is basically a replacement for man. Try to replace he with man. Man is what man believes. Now if it were a repetitive process, if it were a repetition of man again and again in other further sentences, it would have been quite boring. So in order to remove the boring aspect and in order to bring brevity, the briefness in any academic piece, we bring in pronouns and look at the definition that personal pronouns takes the place of people or things. Now, there is also another aspect of pronouns that we should remember, that is antecedent. Antecedents are those words which are replaced by a noun. For example, in the above sentence, man is what he believes, the word man is the antecedent of the pronoun he. So you should remember that he is the pronoun, and what it replaces, the noun that it replaces, that noun becomes the antecedent. Now, there are 3 categories of personal pronouns. That is first person, second person, and third person. First person is usually the words associated with I, me, my, we, us, ours. These are all first person pronouns. And these words represent the person who is speaking. Actually, they define it that the person who is speaking. Anybody can speak. Yes, I understand that on the surface this definition looks quite ridiculous. But right now, I am first person because I am speaking or addressing you. And you, the students who are the listeners, are the second person because you are being addressed. The second person or personal pronouns are you or your. And try to remember that as opposed to Urdu, there is no replacement for tum or tu or aap as in Urdu in English language. Like in Urdu we use aap for singular as well and plural as well. In English we do the same, you for singular and you for plural as well. But with respect to tum or tu, there is no replacement in English. So you is both a singular and both a plural. These two, the second person is the person who is addressed. In this scenario, I am the first person as I am mentioning myself. And if I am mentioning myself, I usually use the words I, me, or myself. And you, as I am addressing you, you are the second person. The third person is a person who is not present during the conversation. That is everybody else who are outside this domain. For example, if we are mentioning the colony officers, we are mentioning the citizens of Pakistan, all of them are second persons. And usually they are he, she, it, or they. So these are this pronoun is known as third person pronoun. Now I have devised a chart. There is a error in the headings. Personal, in front of it is a subjective case, then the objective case, and then the possessive determiners. Possessive determiners. Now, subjective case very easily defined. It is very easily defined. Subjective case are all those pronouns that come as in a sentence as a subject, that are considered the subject of a sentence. We all know that English language has a basic structure of subject, verb and object. जैसे कि उर्दू में फ़ाइल फ़ेल और मफ़ूल का होता है ना, इसी तरह इंग्लिश में सब्जेक्ट, वर्ब और ऑब्जेक्ट होता है. अब मसला ये है कि उर्दू का जो स्ट्रक्चर है वो SOV है. उसमें सब्जेक्ट, उसके बाद ऑब्जेक्ट और फिर वर्ब आता है. इंग्लिश में पहले सब्जेक्ट आता है, फिर वर्ब आता है, फिर ऑब्जेक्ट आता है. तो वो प्रोनाउंस जो कि सब्जेक्ट के तौर पे इस्तेमाल हो, we call them subjective case pronouns. Here is the chart in detail with the singular and the plural aspects. फिर the objective case, those pronouns which are in the object section of a sentence. यानी जब SVO को देखें तो जब वो ऑब्जेक्ट के तौर पे आते हैं तो कौन कौन से प्रोनाउन यूज़ होते हैं. और पोजेसिव डिटर्मिनर. पोजेसिव डिटर्मिनर वो प्रोनाउंस जब हम पोजेशन के सीगे में इस्तेमाल करें, जैसे माई बुक, माई पेंसिल, माई कार, दियर कार, हिज कार, आवर कार, एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. पोजेसिव डिटर्मिनर्स शो पोजेशन. हाँ, possessive determiners have a uniqueness that when they are used in a sentence for possession, no apostrophe is used. No apostrophe is used. Then we have personal pronouns, subjective, objective, possessive and reflexive cases. Their singular and plural forms are shown in this chart. I will share the chart with you at the end of the lesson. Rather, I will share the PowerPoint as well, but you have to remind me. This is the key, that you should be attentive enough to note the important points that I mentioned to you. So just like yesterday, I said that there is an error in the presentation. Nobody from first year was able to tell me what was the error or what was the mistake that I committed. It shows that you are not attentive towards the class. I want you all to be attentive so that you should understand the key concepts. Now, if you need the chart, you have to remind me regarding the charts and the PowerPoint presentation. So in front of you is the personal pronoun chart, the subjective cases, objective cases, possessive cases, and also the reflexive cases in both singular and plural dimensions. Subjective personal pronoun. I, you, he, she, it, we, and they are the subjective personal pronouns. These are the versions used for the subjects of the verbs. For example, you are happy, they won the league. In these sentences, you and they are subjective personal pronouns. Objective personal pronouns. The objective personal pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. These are the versions used when the personal pronouns are objects, that is direct objects, indirect objects, or objects of preposition, Now, for example, Paul knows her. The personal pronoun is a direct object. There are no two objects in this sentence. So if there were two objects in this sentence, one would be direct object and one would be the indirect object. So here Paul is the subject, knows her, her is the object, so it is the direct object. Paul gave them the letter. Now here there are two objects, them and the letter. Now how would you differentiate between a direct object and an indirect object? जब एक सेंटेंस में दो ऑब्जेक्ट्स आ जाए तो कैसे पता चलेगा कि कौन सा डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है और कौन सा इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है? इट्स वेरी सिंपल. आप दोनों ऑब्जेक्ट्स में से पहले एक ऑब्जेक्ट को सेंटेंस से ख़त्म करें. मसलन इस जुमले को देखें, पॉल गेव देम द लेटर. तो अगर आप पॉल गेव के बाद देम को ख़त्म कर दें और द लेटर लिख दें, पॉल गेव द लेटर, तो पॉल गेव द लेटर का सेंस कंप्लीट हो रहा है. इसका मतलब है लेटर जो है डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है. लेकिन अगर इसको मैं द लेटर ख़त्म कर दूँ और जुमला इस तरह कर दूँ, पॉल गेव देम, तो यहाँ पे सेंस कंप्लीट नहीं हो रही. तो जब सेंस कंप्लीट नहीं हो रही तो इट इज़ द इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. सो लेटर इज़ डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट एंड देम इज़ द इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. तो यहाँ पे देम इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है, जैसे कि डेफिनेशन में बताया गया है कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स में. दीज आर द वर्जन्स यूज्ड व्हेन द पर्सनल प्रोनाउंस आर ऑब्जेक्ट्स, दैट इज डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट्स और इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट्स. एंड देन द थर्ड एग्जाम्पल, पॉल वेंट विद हिम. पॉल वेंट विद हिम, इस जुमले में प्रपोजिशन विद है. प्रपोजिशन क्या है? विद है. जब प्रपोजिशन इस तरह प्रोनाउन के साथ आए तो उसे हम कहते हैं ऑब्जेक्ट्स ऑफ प्रपोजिशन. सो यहाँ पे हिम ऑब्जेक्ट है और इसके साथ प्रपोजिशन क्या है? विद. सो वी कॉल दिस हिम एज द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ प्रपोजिशन. सो दीज आर द ऑब्जेक्टिव पर्सनल प्रोनाउंस. ये याद रखिएगा. ट्राई टू रिमेंबर दिस, हाउ टू find the direct or indirect object in a sentence. The direct object will be that which, when we remove from the sentence, will make the sentence incomplete in its meaning and sense. And indirect object is the one which, if removed from the sentence, won't make any difference. Rather, the direct object will be clarified. Next slide is possessive personal pronoun. These pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. They represent something that is owned and tell us who the owner is. For example, Myra protected the pantry, believing all the food was hers. Myra protected the pantry, pantry जहाँ पे food store किया जाता है, believing all the food was hers. Here hers represents all the food and tells us the owner is Myra. A possessive pronoun replaces a possessive determiner and a noun. For example, her food becomes hers, my story becomes mine, and their jelly bean becomes theirs. Note that possessive determiners are classified as pronouns too. Now यहाँ पे एक चीज़ बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है, इस चीज़ को समझिएगा. जब possessive personal pronoun को हम इस शेप में यूज़ करें ना, hers, his, ours, theirs, एक तो apostrophe नहीं यूज़ हो रही. आप गौर कीजिएगा, इसमें yours के साथ या hers के साथ या ours के साथ या theirs के साथ ऊपर कॉमा नहीं लग रहा. apostrophe of omission या apostrophe of possession नहीं यूज़ हो रही. सो ये जो apostrophe आप यूज़ नहीं करेंगे. सॉरी, apostrophe of possession, not omission. अच्छा जी. दूसरी चीज़, ये जो एग्जाम्पल दी गई है कि हर फूड, अब अगर आप उस हर्स की बजाय हर फूड भी कर देना तो जुमला ठीक रहेगा. दोनों ही प्रोनाउन है. जो हर फूड है ये पोजेसिव डिटर्मिनर है, जैसा कि मैंने चार्ट में बताया था, माई बुक, हिज पेन, माई पेन वगैरह. बट हर फूड कैन बी रिप्लेस्ड विद व्हाट? हर्स. सो इस केस को हम क्या कहते हैं? पोजेसिव पर्सनल प्रोनाउन. नेक्स्ट इज रिफ्लेक्सिव पर्सनल प्रोनाउन. अच्छा, ये पर्सनल प्रोनाउन की बात हो रही है. पोजेसिव प्रोनाउन और रिफ्लेक्सिव प्रोनाउन एक सेपरेट फॉर्म भी है, एक सेपरेट टाइप भी है. दो उनकी कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स मुश्तरका हैं, लेकिन उनकी डिटेल्स अलहदा हैं. द रिफ्लेक्सिव प्रोनाउन्स आर माई सेल्फ, यूर सेल्फ, हिम सेल्फ, हर सेल्फ, इट सेल्फ, आवर सेल्फ्स, यूर सेल्फ्स एंड देम सेल्फ्स. A reflexive pronoun refers back to the subject. David did not blame himself for Myra's mistake. अब देखें, the characteristic is quite clear that reflexive pronoun refers back to the subject. In the example, David is the subject, did not blame himself. He did not blame himself. So himself is referring to David for Myra's aggression. So the subject is David. The reflexive pronoun himself refers back to David. So this is what reflexive pronouns is. Reflexive personal pronouns are. So this is today's lecture. I hope you have understood the key aspects, the important points, and I want you to revise them in your mind, that there are 9 types of personal pronouns. There are 9 types of pronouns, and the first one is personal pronoun. Personal pronoun is divided into 3 categories: first person, second person, and third person. And then it is divided into further 4 types, that is subjective, objective, possessive, and reflexive types. So all these types have been discussed here. I want you to remember these points, as these points are important for your upcoming lectures. If you have any questions or queries, you can ask. Thank you very much.